Good evening, everyone. I am Ananya, and I'll start by thanking IIM for inviting us to share our experience with you. banglanatak.com is a social enterprise which was established in 2000. So we are working still. Now, I'll talk a little about our organization definitely, but I'd like to have the discussion more on why social entrepreneurship, and I thank Vishen for setting the tune setting the tone for this. Now, I think social entrepreneurship or entrepreneurship itself is extremely important today because today the world has set some objectives. He spoke of small objectives. Now, countries all across the world, they have signed very big objectives. So they have set up 17 goals, 169 targets, which and have specified 232 indicators. And all countries have signed this. And these sustainability development goals, the good part of it is it's something which the governments have said at the outset that we'll target doing 70% of it, but it's not only our job, it's also the job of the civil society. It's also the job of private organizations, of all entities. It's all our job to get to 2030 with these goals. And as you look at these objectives, they cover all issues ranging from health to nutrition to climate change. And each of these sectors offer opportunities for social enterprises which, target addressing societal challenges. And that way he was right when he said that social entrepreneurships are inherently innovative. And they're inherently doing something which no one has done before. So you are the first player in the field. So we are in a good times where actually entrepreneurship is being looked upon as a vehicle for social empowerment and inclusive development, which didn't happen before. Entrepreneurship was always equated with economic growth, but we are also now talking of social growth. So what we have done, our vision is inclusive and sustainable development, and we focus on poor communities, and that's how our work started. So essentially what we do, we try to develop change makers on the ground. So that it's not really, we are not really an NGO in the sense we do not provide any service. We don't offer any service like health or education. What we try to do is we give people some skills with which they can negotiate their rights and they can build their better communities and better future. And what we built upon, we looked at communities' inherent skills and capacities as their resources. So the skill here was the cultural skills and traditional knowledge of people. So as you can see, we have worked with handicraft persons, with performing artists, women who lived in forest fringes and they just picked up sal leaves. We have trained them to make sal leaf plate. So the occupations which were there traditionally, or perhaps were not occupations or hobbies, we targeted developing self-employment and community-based entrepreneurship development opportunities. So that has been at large our focus. And part of the work also entailed making people aware of their rights as human beings, as women, as children, as indigenous people. And so that's the overall approach we took. So we have an office at Calcutta, we have small offices at Delhi and at Goa. And we have worked since 2000 in around 25 states of India. We work a lot in all the Eastern Indian states. And our main flagship initiative, of which I'm going to talk about in the next few minutes, is Art for Life, which we have done largely in West Bengal and some part in Bihar and some of the experiments in Punjab and Goa. Now, what is Art for Life? Art for Life is about safeguarding cultural heritage as a means of livelihood and as a means of inclusion. So we work at three levels. We work with the art form, we work with the artists, and we work with the villages where the artists live. So we are partners of UNESCO, and with UNESCO partnership we have been able to scale this up. So of course it needs a lot of research. So that is one thing which is very important in social entrepreneurship. You need to learn, you need to do a lot of research to find out what is the situation. And then we integrate the art form, we of course document and do all that. I won't go into the nitty-gritties of Artful Life. But what has happened? I'll give you the example of Baul. Tonight you will listen to Baul music in your auditorium. It is their part of the cultural evening program. So when they started, the average age of Baul was about 50 years. And they never earned anything from their singing. Today, one village, I'll give example of one village. We started in Nadia, which is a district where Chaitanya was born. So, in that one village, the average income is more than 40,000. Ghulam Fakir, who hails from the village, is kind of an icon of West Bengal government's all cultural programs, and in any program you will find the Bauls. And the Bauls, we do a festival which was known as Sufi Sutra and now known as Sur Jahan. I invite all of you to the festival. It's on 2nd, 3rd, 4th of February, the 8th edition. It's next to the Victoria Memorial in Mahorkunj. So we created this platform to promote the Bauls as Sufi music of Bengal. And today they have traveled to more than 10 or 12 countries. And previously they were ostracized in their communities, and now they are well respected. So from people who had no income, who are not respected, they have become artists and stars, and that's the transition we have brought about. And then we also worked at village level. I'll give you the example of Bhattacharya. It's a tradition of scroll painting. And the painters sing the stories. When we started 10 years back, there were hardly 8 of them. Today, if you go to a village called Naya, which is around 3 hours drive from Calcutta, there are 60 families living there. All of them have the name Chitrakar. Traditionally, they are the storytellers of Bengal. And in that village, every day there are visitors who go there to learn about their culture, their art, how they make color from natural, how they make natural color. There is a resource center. And average income of people in that village from less than 500 in 10 years back, when 8 or 10 were going around and singing and getting, it was almost begging, and the others were pulling van rickshaws or doing daily labor. So income was practically less than 500. Today, all of them, average income has gone above 40,000 and maybe more, and they get commissioned. They get commissioned to paint the Mumbai airport terminal or museums, and even they have become social communities. When Nirbhaya happened, they came out with a song and came out with a Bhattacharya. When 9/11 happened, so they have become kind of modern communicators. So these are the, and what has happened, so it's not about 1 or 2 artists or one art form, but the entire village. And these people, then if you go to the village, every house is a toilet. Every child goes to school. 10 years back, child marriage was high. So this is our experience with more than 30,000 families across West Bengal. We have covered more than 20 art forms, and we have developed 18 such what we call rural crafts and cultural hubs. And in all these places, these communities are coming forward and addressing, doing on their own. We are not asking them to install toilets, we are not asking them to have babies in their hospital, but they're doing it because they're recognizing the importance of it. So I think what is a big problem at the bottom of the pyramid is that there's no service, and these people think that all these things government is saying is not for them. Is not meant for them. So they don't take ownership. So our approach has been to revive the culture and create an ecosystem where these people are getting recognition and pride. And this ecosystem is an important word in any kind of entrepreneurship development. Entrepreneurship does not evolve in a vacuum. So we need that ecosystem to develop entrepreneurship. So I've told you the stories already, so I'll just skip this and go to the next one, and I'll show you a short video. Oops. Maybe we should show it once. Come outside. Go to the folder and show.
But on the other side of the world, in India, there's another way music is being used
this is
for social transformation that really inspires me. In Calcutta, there's an NGO called banglanatak.com. They started out by trying to help village musicians earn a sustainable living, and they've succeeded in doing that. But also, it's brought some surprising benefits as well. Come with me to this village called Gorbanga. 12 years ago, it was in decline. It was dirty and unkempt. The water was polluted and undrinkable. The musicians who lived there, they scraped out a living as unskilled labourers, pulling rickshaws, selling and drinking illicit alcohol. The music that they played most evenings was nothing more than a consolation. But the village I arrived in 2 years ago was a beautiful place, clean and immaculate, with well-built houses and swept yards. These were the unexpected benefits. Health and sanitation had improved. Migration to the cities had decreased. So I sat on a mat to listen to the musicians play their music. They have a beautiful dotara lute and a dolak barrel drum. Between the phrases of their songs, which are mostly spiritual ones about how God is to be found in the human heart, just like Rumi. Between their songs, the dolak, played with a plectrum, would weave fantastic melodies accompanied by taps on the drum. These were no longer submissive, depressed, humble beings. They'd been reborn as tigers, proud of their culture. Basically, they've been rebranded as artists rather than unskilled labourers, and taught the techniques of presentation, performance, and microphone technique. Most of these guys can't read or write, but how can you call someone illiterate when they can sing 1,000 songs? Over 10 years ago, when this project started, these musicians were earning on average 500 rupees a month. They're now earning about 10,000 rupees a month. Now that's still not a lot, it's about $180, but that's much better than $8 a month. On the back wall of their performing platform there's a map with coloured drawing pins showing where they've played around the world. China, Japan, Portugal, France, the UK. And now they have a festival in Gorbanga itself, attracting 6,000 people each January to this tiny village. A lot of them from overseas. And that's something I'd love to do, to go back there to their festival, because it was music that brought us together and led me to meet these people who I would never otherwise have encountered.
So that was Simon Broughton, who is the editor of Songland.
On the other side of the world, in India, there's another way music is being used for social transformation that really inspires me.
So I was talking about the ecosystem. So we are talking of safeguarding traditions, and safeguarding means the traditions will not be stuck at one point but evolve. But down there, our artists, our craftsperson do not have the ecosystem to innovate and evolve. Our country is so rich in crafts, but for the global economy, craft economy, we hold, I think, less than 4% share. Why is it so pathetic? Now, what are the problems? One is we need to support innovation there too. So when we are talking of developing creative entrepreneurship, it's a new kind of entrepreneurship. So what we do festivals and workshops where you see some examples here, where our artists, our craftspersons interact with international musicians, international craftspersons, choreographers, designers. And I can't teach a Chow dancer Chow, neither can any international choreographer. But what we try to open up is the possibilities, and that's where new innovations come in, and they evolve as creative entrepreneurs. So I was talking that when we are talking of grassroots, and he spoke of co-creators, which is almost in the same line, that they are not beneficiaries. Yes, what they are is, we as social entrepreneurs, are trying to create the ecosystem, facilitate a system where they can grow and they can lead. So you see Mamuni, who is a Patua, and in that village they're Muslims and they were not allowed to go out of their house. And she is walking down a road in France, proudly bearing India's flag. So Mamuni is a changed soul, and in that village now every woman, that is their aspiration. And that is extremely important. I was in part of the previous session and we were talking of engagement. Now that is a huge challenge in today's world. And culture, our creative economy, provides this route, because in today's economy, today's world is globally connected. Globalization is there. We can use it advantageously. And when these young people see these opportunities of going to different cities of India or going out to internationally, they start, learning about their own culture and they start appreciating other culture. And our experience has been in places like Purulia, where there was Naxalites, in places like Nanur, which is notoriously known as for political problems. All these issues have also got addressed. So that is a very interesting experience we had, like how culture has become really a capital, an asset base on which things got developed. Now, coming to our issue of academic partnership, I really like that issue, that who will be a social entrepreneur, and is a social entrepreneur, an NGO. This is a big lacuna in our education system. We are not talking of entrepreneurship, and when we're talking of entrepreneurship, we're thinking it's the same size fits all. So everyone has to, any entrepreneurship course has to be about making business plans and all that. But does it mean that you have to be an MBA student to be an entrepreneur? No. So actually, entrepreneurship and its integration with sustainable development needs to be addressed in all curriculums and even at school. And we need new curriculums to address new challenges and these new sectors of entrepreneurship. Today in the US, there is a business degree for managing film industry, a new business degree for managing music enterprise. Or even if I talk of history and philosophy, why will not they learn about the history of development of entrepreneurship or the essential philosophy in entrepreneurship? And these things we are not talking about and thinking of. Another lacuna which we have today is we do not have enough data. See, I am in the field, but I didn't know of his wonderful story, and we have been working with Cine. So we need these stories, and there also academic partnership has a big role to play, and I really thank IIM for creating this opportunity. And we need to collect these data, collect this evidence on what is working to inspire new minds and new people, and that's how we need to develop a whole network, a supporting network. So now what banglanatak is trying to do, we launched this initiative only this year in a seminar last week, and we are calling Entrepreneurship as a Social Movement. And the world is aligned. The world has decided that entrepreneurship needs to be promoted, and these are the goals set in the SDGs. If you look at the SDG, you see culture is also part of it. We are partners of UNESCO and even WTO. And since 2011, we have been working for greater recognition of culture because we need investment, just as the theory of land, labor, and capital. We need investment in culture to develop creative entrepreneurship. And you will find there's mention of cultural tourism, developing cultural tourism and safeguarding of cultural heritage. And we need to align all this together. Unless, if we work in silos, we'll never achieve the ultimate goal of, having sustainability. Take China, for example. Millennium Development Goal, one of the biggest success story of MDGs was that poverty was reduced by half, and that was thanks to China's enormous efforts. But what happened while working for that poverty alleviation, China did not look at economy, at environment, China did not look at health, and there were serious retributions. So we all need to link the SDGs together, work in a networked way, and that's how we can go forward. Now in our villages, there are two photos I'd like to explain. One is a resource center. So in all these villages, we now have these resource centers which are like the seeds of art and culture, practice and promotion. And we do festivals. And during these festivals, people, not only from the area, but from outside, international people, they visit. And that gives identity and pride, and new entrepreneurships and new businesses emerge. So, you know, social entrepreneurship also creates market opportunities, which nurtures business, and which also leads to economic development. Now, there are many challenges which all of us need to talk and work out. Maybe we can spend next few minutes in that. But the issue is we don't have the ecosystem where the people down the line, they neither have access to technology, they neither have access to finance. Say, for example, the craftsman, any government scheme will ask for last 3 years balance sheet. And how many of our craftsmen will be able to give that? How many of our producer groups will be able to give that? And they never participate in any policy making. And they have to participate at all levels. And when we are planning about enterprise development, we need to think of the participation of these larger groups of people when we are talking of social entrepreneurship in the global value chain. This is extremely important. Another important outcome which happened in our work, in all the villages, I think we work in more than 1,000 villages now, unsafe migration has stopped. So vulnerability to trafficking has stopped because people are engaged in the local economy. So that has been another good part of it. But we all need to work together, and these challenges still remain. So we need to build the ecosystem. I think that's really the crux of the matter today. Okay.